It is 4 in the morning when Jason gets an emergency call from Julie. She has a question that needs an immediate answer, and after Jason answers and explains why he would prefer to be eaten by a shark than an alligator, he asks Julie if she would like to come to his apartment, since they live in the same building in Manhattan. It wasn't just a question she needed answering, but this was her way of letting Jason know she is worried about something. Jason and Julie, both in their 30s and unmarried, have been best friends ever since they can remember. It is one of those nights when both have their respective dates sleeping next to them in their beds, yet Julie is troubled by the question of what she is doing with her life. However, Jason thinks it is high time she got back into dating, since it has been more than 6 months, and she was in dire need of sweeping the cobwebs down there. Julie reminds him that they will be meeting their 4 other friends that night, and asks if he is going to bring his date. Jason says yes to the plan, but no to bringing his date, as he is already planning on breaking up with her. Later that evening, Jason and Julie meet their friends Alex and Leslie, who are married. They are curious if Jason's date will be joining him, but they know their friend has commitment issues, so when he doesn't answer, they know he has broken up with her, the same as he did with a gazillion girls before her. Julie asks where their other friends Ben and Missy are, and Leslie tells them they went to the bathroom 20 minutes ago, and they all know very well the couple is there to have debaucherous fun. They are the most active couple in the group, who would take any opportunity to see on each other, regardless of time or place. The couple soon joins them, and after greeting everybody, they explain that they had run into some friends. Suddenly, a howling kid distracts them from their conversation, and Jason remarks about how expensive the place is, yet people bring their toddlers as if it were a small diner. Julie adds her perspective on bringing children, which doesn't necessarily show she likes them, when Alex and Leslie drop the news that they are pregnant. Jason and Julie take a 180-degree turn from what they were saying and start congratulating them. Alex and Leslie thank everyone and promise they are not going to be that couple who brings their kids to fancy places to ruin their get-togethers. 4 years have passed, and both couples have had children. It is Jason's birthday, and Alex and Leslie are throwing a birthday party for him at their house in Brooklyn. While traveling, Julie apologizes for not being able to convince Alex and Leslie to organize a party at a restaurant, but they know that is impossible now that their friends have kids. They reach the house and find Leslie on the verge of bursting with her son, Cole, and their newborn screaming their lungs out, and Alex hiding in the bathroom to escape the chaos. The house is a mess, so Julie starts helping around in the kitchen, while Alex finally shows up and gets yelled at by Leslie for slacking off. Soon, Ben and Missy arrive with their baby, and they have their own problems going on. The two have been fighting all along the journey because Ben forgot to pick Jason's gift. During dinner, Ben and Missy get into an ugly argument, and it is evident the couple's marriage is suffering after having kids. Not just theirs, but Alex and Leslie's, too, which is why Jason's birthday party turns into chaos, and Julie and Jason end up alone in a bar with a half-eaten cake. After a few drinks down, the two laugh about how they don't know their friends anymore, as they have become angry and mean. Julie believes that having kids might have led to that transformation. Jason argues that it cannot be the sole reason, because a couple usually gets pregnant after knowing well enough what they're getting themselves into. And after 9 terrible months, they get a great kid that they can spoil. Julie agrees and adds that becoming a parent is great, as they get gifts from families and friends. Sure, after the celebratory phase is over, the new parents don't get to sleep for a year or two, which is probably why parents become mean. Julie, however, cannot understand how women tend to love a stranger more than the person they choose to spend their lives with. While traveling home, they are still on the same topic, and Julie shares how, at her age, even if she meets a nice guy, she will have 6 months to a maximum of a year to enjoy before they plunge into babydom. She feels it would be better to have kids and sort of get it done before trying to find the one. That way, they would have dealt with all the unwanted things already, before they can be with the person they want and enjoy it a bit longer. By the time they return to their apartment, they both agree they want to have kids, and Jason proposes since they both love and trust each other, are independent and responsible, have known each other for a long time, and are not attracted to each other romantically, they should have a kid together. They could share all the responsibilities, and can skip over the whole marriage and divorce nightmare. He also mentions Julie's biological clock running out of time. In the coming days, Jason and Julie discuss the entire plan at great lengths, as well as what they will say to their child if they ever ask about them. Once they have made up their minds, they promise over vodka shots that they will be 100% committed to their plan. Leslie and Alex are the first ones to know about their plan, and while trying very hard not to offend them or comment about their marriage, while explaining why they are doing it, which doesn't seem to work, Julie and Jason give up and say they're doing it because Julie is getting old. But Alex comes to their rescue and summarizes their decision to have a kid without all the trauma that comes with marriage in a very crude yet simple way. Leslie, however, takes an offense on behalf of all the married couples who have made sacrifices in marriage. Next, they visit Ben and Missy, who immediately think it is the worst idea ever, but keep their thoughts to themselves. Leslie and Missy think Jason is doing this because he feels sorry for Julie. With no plan on how to approach things, and after a really awkward start, Jason and Julie finally make a baby together. Fast forward to 9 months, Jason is on a date when he gets a call about Julie being in labor. He immediately rushes to the hospital and stands by Julie while she gives birth. It is hard for him to keep his thoughts to himself, and he throws all the knowledge he has accumulated in the last 9 months of watching documentaries in the doctor's face. Finally, their son Joe is born, and both Julie's mother and Jason's parents come to visit their grandson. They, however, do not hold back from expressing how weird the arrangement between Jason and Julie is. Jason's parents give him the check, as predicted by Jason, and soon leave. With just the two and the baby, they discuss which of their features Joe inherited, and are happy they took this decision. In the coming days, many things change, but mostly positively. Jason becomes a constant support for Julie, and is present whenever she needs him there. Together, they decorate Joe's room and hire a nanny. Since Jason is not allowed to sleep with the nanny, and all the nannies they interviewed are young and beautiful, they end up hiring a middle-aged woman. One day, after getting an invite from Julie and Jason, their friends visit them at their apartment. The friends speculate that the two must have been miserable, which is why they haven't met them since Joe's birth. But to their dismay, Jason and Julie are doing great, much better than they had expected. Their place looks tidy and smells good, everything is organized, which disappoints the friends, because they were expecting to see chaos. They are even more shocked to see Jason and Julie sharing responsibilities so well that it almost makes them feel envious. This gives Leslie a chance to complain about Alex's lackadaisical attitude. Seeing Jason supportive of Julie returning to dating and proving a better father than they had expected annoys them. A year after Joe's birth, Julie is ready to go back to dating. However, she isn't sure she is ready, so Jason encourages her that she'll be fine. While Julie goes on her date, Jason takes Joe to the park, where he is immediately smitten by a woman being dragged by her dog. So he uses Joe as a medium and pretends Joe is asking to meet the dog. But the woman catches up on the trick and says he can stop with the act. Jason admits he was trying to get her attention, and explains he is not married, even though he is a father. The woman likes him being upfront and lowers her guard. She allows the dog to see Joe, explains it is not her dog but a neighbor's, and adds she can never be responsible for another living being. Jason explains that he is friends with Joe's mother, and since she really wanted a baby, he offered to help, and now they share joint custody. The woman is impressed by his generosity and introduces herself as Mary Jane. After a day well spent, Julie and Jason share some family time together. Julie puts Joe to bed, and when she returns she sees Jason serving food for her, which evokes an emotion. But she keeps it to herself after Jason says since they are free from any obligations towards each other, the entire journey to parenthood has been a cakewalk. Jason then tells her about Mary Jane, and Julie congratulates him. But the next day she cries her heart out before Leslie, not understanding what is happening to her. Leslie says she was waiting for this to happen, since one can get confused with feelings. She tries to encourage her by reminding her how they thought Jason is kind of gay, and is too short for her. But Julie cries even more, because she thinks Jason doesn't find her attractive. She finally agrees she wants someone in her life, but not Jason. Leslie has 4 setups planned for her, and Julie agrees to see them. But her dates turn into a disaster. Nevertheless, she continues with her daily life while Jason starts dating Mary Jane. Jason often has so much to tell Julie about Mary Jane, how she is beautiful, smart, and doesn't want kids, and Julie is kind enough to listen and react appropriately, even though she feels a twinge of pain in her heart. One night Julie is out on another date, but she gets cold feet, which makes her leave, only to be stopped by Leslie, who promises her date is an amazing guy. Leslie pushes Julie onto a man named Kurt, and she fumbles about how she slipped, and at last they exchange introductions. They talk about their lives, and Julie finds out that Kurt is divorced and has 2 children. They seem to hit it off in the first meeting, and Julie ends up sleeping with Kurt. Meanwhile, Jason struggles with Joe's explosive diarrhea while trying to create a balance between spending time with Mary Jane, who is vocal about how she doesn't want to hear about Jason's setup with Julie. She also asks Jason to stick to his promises rather than canceling at the last minute. Julie returns home the next day and talks all about Kurt and what an amazing guy he is. But when she starts talking about his assets, Jason feels it is a jibe at his masculinity. However, he is vocal about it and explains what an awful night he had. And above that, he didn't get a text from her informing him she wouldn't be back for the night, which pissed him even more. So he asserts she will look after Joe and leaves. It is the holiday season, and the friends are planning a skiing trip together for New Year's. This time, Julie and Jason will be joining with their partners. As Julie is getting ready to leave, Jason says he has rented a car with Mary Jane, and they'll come later since Mary Jane is still asleep after a late-night show. Just then Kurt shows up, and Jason immediately feels intimidated, not just by his height, but by how easily he interacts with Joe, almost making them look like a complete family, which makes Jason feel a little left out. They soon reach Vermont, and on their first night in the cabin, Jason asks Julie to keep Joe. Irritated by the amount of noise coming from their bedroom, Julie tries to distract herself and play a game with Kurt, which she usually does with Jason, but it turns out to be a failure, and they end up sleeping on it, accompanied by more mature talk. The next morning, Jason, Mary Jane, Ben, and Alex are getting ready to go skiing while Kurt and the women stay behind to look after the kids. Just then Missy has a meltdown, and Ben gives out a not again sigh. He doesn't bother to check on her and goes to enjoy himself. While they're skiing, Alex and Jason get to talk about their lives, and after Jason brags about his intimate life, Alex reveals his is almost finished, now that they have kids, and he has made his peace with what he's getting. That evening, the adults gather for dinner after putting their children to bed, and Alex makes a toast to welcome Mary Jane and Kurt, and praises Kurt for being such a role model for the kids. He even appreciates Jason and Julie for handling their responsibilities so efficiently. They discuss the whole parenting thing, and while Ben and Missy take jibes at each other, making everybody a little awkward, Kurt says he will not introduce Julie to his kids until he is 100% sure they will end up with each other. He believes it would be confusing for his children to see their dad with different women every couple of months. Things take a turn for the worse when Ben says that Julie and Jason made a very irresponsible decision about having a baby together, because Jason isn't one to carry his relationships for long. The statement hurts Jason, and he gets vocal about Ben and Missy's parenting, knowing that they hate each other. He doesn't stop there, and goes on to tell him that he has loved Julie for 19 years, knows every little detail about her, and is on board with everything about her. He questions Ben on what better woman he could have picked to be the mother of his child, because he believes he made a responsible choice. Ben, however, walks out after he reminds them how damaged his marriage is with Missy. They once used to love each other, but now can't stand each other. And as expected, as soon as they return from the trip, Missy and Ben separate and later divorce. The trip provides the couples a sense of clarity, and they work on their relationships. Alex and Leslie rekindle their spark. Jason introduces Mary Jane to his parents, and Julie thinks a lot about her feelings. So when it is Julie's birthday, she meets with Jason at a restaurant, and Jason is surprised to find he is the only one invited. She tells Jason that Kurt has asked her to meet his kids on the weekend, but she isn't ready, and even though Kurt is perfect in every possible way, she can't help but think about Jason. She breaks down and confesses that she loves him because he is her family, and all she wants is to be with him and Joe. Jason hugs her, but when she tries to kiss him, he backs away and tells Julie that Mary Jane is moving in with him. Julie looks confused because she thought Jason loved her too, after what he said in the cabin. Jason says he meant every word and that he does love her, but as a friend, he doesn't have any romantic feelings for her. Julie is left heartbroken, and she leaves without saying anything. Soon after, she moves out of the apartment to live in Brooklyn, to put some distance between them. A few months pass, and they continue with their lives. One night, Jason is out with Mary Jane when he sees a family with 3 kids sitting next to them. Mary Jane immediately remarks that people are crazy for bringing their children to a fancy restaurant. But Jason cannot help but compliment their kids, and at that moment, he realizes how much he misses Joe. Jason and Mary Jane soon break up because of their differences about having children. In the meantime, Julie gets back to dating others and meeting friends. One day, Jason meets Ben at a bar, and they make up after things got weird in the cabin. Ben apologizes for how he behaved. Jason thanks him and admits what he said was true. He still cannot believe he used to adore Mary Jane. And suddenly, one day, she became the ugliest thing in his life. Ben adds that this is why it is important to be with someone that we would want to stay, even in the worst possible circumstances, and not just when things are great, a problem he knew he had in his relationship with Missy. Jason also admits indirectly that he might have feelings for Julie. In the coming days, Jason realizes his feelings for Julie. And just before her next birthday, Jason brings out the gift he had intended to give her on her previous birthday, but couldn't because she walked out, and takes it along. Julie opens the door and is about to take Joe to bed when Jason offers her the gift. She is initially reluctant to take it. Joe, however, throws a tantrum and demands Jason put him to bed after opening the gift, and to not disappoint their kid, Julie agrees. It is a scrapbook made with all their pictures together since they've known each other, but Julie closes the book after looking at some pages, and puts Joe to bed. Joe asks them why Jason doesn't sleep in their house, a question they were dreading, and Jason says he wishes he could stay with them, which catches Julie off guard. After kissing Joe goodnight, she walks out of the room. She is angry because Jason's words evoke hope in Joe. Jason tries to explain, but when he can't find words to explain, he kisses Julie, but she immediately pulls away. She understands Jason is going through a breakup and must be feeling lonely, but she doesn't want to become his rebound. She adds she is finally in a good place and has made peace with the fact that Jason doesn't love her, but what he's doing right now is confusing her. She asks him to get out, and he leaves. He gets in his car and drives away, trying to make sense of his feelings, while Julie, now finally alone, looks at their images in the scrapbook and reminisces about the past. But something shifts in Jason that doesn't allow him to move forward, even as the traffic light turns green, and he takes a U-turn back to Julie's apartment. He bangs on the door, and once inside, he says they had a perfect plan to have a kid before, so they could enjoy the romantic part afterward, which they didn't realize they already had with each other. It took him an entire year to realize that he is in love with Julie. Julie listens patiently, but then gets annoyed, because he made it very clear that he was not attracted to her, and now he is talking about romance. Jason admits he said it because he wasn't ready, and it took him an entire year to realize that Julie is the love of his life, his person. However, Julie says she will not be with the person who is not into her. But to prove he is into her, he kisses her passionately and takes her to her bedroom, claiming he wants to take her right then, because she is the only person he wants, and he will do anything to prove how much he loves her. Julie agrees, and they kiss before tumbling onto the bed.